Welcome, everyone. What a joy to have you here today. I am Brenda L. Balding. The L is for love's inner voice, the path of self-discovery. Today, we have a wonderful show with a good friend of mine, Christy Karate. But before we welcome Christy in, let's just take some deep heart breaths. And what I mean by that is breathe in through your heart, into your lungs, down into your core to the count of 4. Hold it to the count of 4, and then breathe out again as we listen to some soft music. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Notice how your body is relaxing. Let go of anything that you're ready to let go of today or in this moment. Anything that came up at work, at play. One more deep breath. And come back and join me. It's such a gift to be here, to have created this TV show later in my life, because I just finished celebrating my 75th year of life. And you know what? It's never too late to start something new. And it's never too late to learn to listen to our inner voice. And part of our inner voice is how we think. And like I said, Christy Karate has been a friend of mine. We've been working together off and on for 5 or 6 years. And I'm so blessed to have her a part of my life because she helped me with my first book, getting my first book created, getting my first book out there, Discovery is Recovery, which you saw in the opening. And she has a wonderful book called Beyond the Box, Creative Thinking Expanded. And you can see my book has, I call it hair, because it's lots of markers and lots of colors. So Christy is an intuitive artist. I love some of her artwork that she's done for me because I've learned more about me when she creates art because she reads my energy. She's a certified life coach and she's a registered art therapist. As an inspiring international speaker, she's shared stages with luminaries like Dr. Michael Beckwith, Mary Morrissey, and Dan Millman. Christy is the author, like I said, of Beyond the Box, The Creative Way in 5 minutes a day. So that's really focusing on yourself, focusing on me, Brenda, focusing on you. 5 minutes a day. Is it worth it? For me, it has been, as well as the creator of tangible tools for success. Known for her dynamic and insightful approach, and she is a dynamic personality, which I love about her, she excels at helping clients discover their unique gifts and embrace positive change. A paradigm-busting dynamo, she calls herself, and she really does. At least she's helped me break some paradigms. And a lot of the paradigms were in my thinking and my core beliefs. Because the core beliefs run us more than we realize, more than I realized. She combines creativity and personal development to offer transformative experiences. Her expertise lies in making significant life changes both accessible and enjoyable. We'll give you her website and a free gift that she has for you later in the show. I'd love to welcome Christy Karate, and we're going to talk about reshaping the world today, how we can change the world one self-love moment at a time. Thank you, Christy, for
Hello.
being here.
It's
Tell
so
me
much
what
fun. It's so fun.
tell me what inspired you to explore self-love and changing the world.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll share the condensed version of a story of how I came to.
Absolutely. They would love to hear it.
Yeah. So, in my 20s, I moved to from Oregon, actually Washington, to Southern California. Kind of like go search for gold, right? And when I showed up there, things just did not go well. First place I moved into was actually even the boss of the job I had. I got both fired and kicked out. I was alone and had nowhere to go. I found a room in a house, and I found some work to do, a job, and I had my cat with me. And I didn't know that in Southern California there were coyotes, and I lost my cat.
Ooh,
That was devastating, devastating. And I was alone. I'd rented a house from some stranger, right? Let my cat out, and she was gone, my little beloved. And then at work, I was walking to work, and I started getting stalked every day. Some guy was following me. And then at work, I tried to help my boss. Some doors, some wood was falling on him, and I tried to catch it, and it actually fell on him and injured my body, but and broke his leg, and he blamed me. And it was just like everything was either I was being blamed or I was blaming everybody for just like disruption in my life. And because of the injury, I started going to this chiropractor, and she said, Christy, you're a victim. And I went, well, but they did it to me. They blah 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 blah, right? Because it all was happening to me. And she says, there's this teacher in Huntington Beach. Go listen to her. And even when I showed up there, I couldn't find it. I'm driving around looking for this church to go listen to this woman speak, and I can't find it. And I call from a phone booth. I say, and I wasn't very nice at that time. So I said some expletives, right? And I said, where are you? And they said, well, we're in the shopping center. I said, what the H are you doing in a shopping center? So I go around the corner. And so by this time I'm late, and I walk up, and there's a crowd around the door. And all I could see was the top of the sign on the door says, please do not enter. I couldn't see the bottom that says we're in meditation. And I'm just like, you're not keeping me out. And I went and found a side door, and I walk in and storm in during meditation. I had my mom in tow with me too to go listen to this person, right?
oh
So I ran
dear.
in there, and this was like a auditorium of like over 500 people, right? And I'm storming in there during the meditation, and then she starts talking about these people as if I should know them and everything. And I was just like, and then we stand up, and they all start singing this song that I don't even know the words to, let there be peace on earth. And people the person next to me like throws, because I had injured my shoulders, right, had thrown my arms up in the air, and I just squelched because of the pain. And this was the type of a victim that I was at the time, and didn't love myself, didn't care about myself, um, didn't know how to, because I couldn't find love anywhere, right? So I ended up, but at the end of the service, she says, we have no answers for you here. We're here to help you find your own divinity, whatever that may be. and just the way that it is, and just you are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way you are, and just the way you are not. Oh my gosh, that last sentence just transformed my life. And so I started going, and there's a whole progression. And one of the things I wanted to say about learning to love yourself is it is a process. It didn't happen just then. I got a big boost of it, and then something else happened, and then I thought I was dirt, right? And then something else happened, and so one of the things I really want to say is you have to give yourself time. You have to be gentle with yourself when you start loving yourself. And our society is not very good at teaching us to love ourselves. We're taught to do it for everybody else, suck it up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, all of this stuff. So it really was, that was the key to it. But I want to tell you that it is a journey to come around to self love. But self love is core. And it is core to what we're going to talk about today, how self love changes the world.
Yep. And self-love starts here,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts here by acknowledging what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking in the moment. And it doesn't matter, not putting a judgment on it. That's the hardest part for
Yeah,
me.
to be an observer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
being an observer and going, oh, you're feeling this.
Mm-hmm.
Asking tough questions like, well, where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And is this where I want to sit? Is this what I want to drive my bus in the moment? Or do
Yeah.
I want to change it?
But
And then,
Brenda, but Brenda, they did it to me, right? So
oh,
that's
blame is the big thing, isn't it?
yes, and that is the thing. And then people say, but I don't want to take that upon myself. So the question is, how can I let go of blame and empower myself and not take responsibility for what happened outside of there, but to take responsibility and to change my thinking and move in a powerful direction. So I did want to share the law. So I teach universal laws is one of the core
Yes, she
things that I do.
does.
And
Mhm.
I want to just share the law that I think applies to this most so that people can start thinking about why self love might, and we're going to go deeper into that, but why it might help change the world. We're going to talk first because it's got to change us first, right? And so
Yep.
the law of vibration is actually a primary law. Now, a lot of people have heard about the law of attraction. That's a great law, but it is a secondary law because it is kind of outside of us as opposed to the law of vibration, which is we need to feel it, be it, experience everything that we want to create in the world. So it says in my book here, the Beyond the Box, it says the law of vibration match the frequency of what you want to create. Every single one of us is a broadcast station. So there's a good imagery. Every one of us is a broadcast station. We're broadcasting a vibration of the major thoughts we're holding. Those thoughts tend to show up on the very way we hold our face, the way our shoulders are tensed or relaxed. It shows up in how much we walk with a lift in our step or a heaviness as a drudge. And that's from my mentor, Mary Morrissey. It's a quote from her talking about the law of vibration. And so if we are in lack of self-love, it's going to vibrate from us, and that's what's going to ripple out and impact other people. You've walked into a party, right? And let's say a memorial, and everybody's sad and dour, and what happens to us exactly is like but walk into the memorial where it's a celebration of life, right? And you walk in and go, I am just so glad I got to know that person. I get to know, and you feel the difference in the vibration. So even though you think nobody's seeing you, they're feeling you.
Yes.
So you've got to pay
Yeah.
attention to all of it.
Yeah, and it's so important. Thank you, Christy. And it's so important for us to notice what our body's feeling and how our body might be vibrating or responding to any given situation and go, oh, because it really is about noticing.
It is.
But
That is
it's,
the foundational work that we must do, is to notice
yep,
our thoughts, notice
yep.
our feelings. I did
Yep.
it today, driving around with my husband, and somebody, another driver pulled in front of me or something, and I get my hackles up, and thank goodness I have a loving husband that says, so what are you going to do with that?
Yeah. It's like reminding ourselves. See, I live alone, so I don't have the blessing of a husband to say, well, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
I can ask myself when
Yeah.
I notice, oh, Brenda, what are you going to
Yeah.
do with that?
And
Oh,
there's a really easy way to know if it's something you need to pay attention to. Is it leading you in the direction of the life you would love, or is it an energy that's taking you away from that?
and that's a really good concept. The question is, how do you figure out if you're living the life you want to live, or if you're just working because that's what you have to do, that's what your parents told you to do,
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff. And to me, that also walks in self-love because I was a nurse for 50 plus years, and I loved my job. I did all kinds of nursing. I loved being a caregiver because I was a caregiver from the time I was 8.
Mhm.
Because I was the eldest of 7 children. So I was mom's helper majority of the time. I didn't know any different, but I really didn't know how to take care of me.
Mhm. And it wasn't taught in
No.
in our
Yeah.
childhoods and in
Right.
our parents' childhood. And
Right.
so there is a lot of input from the past. And I was just talking to a client, a group. I have a group call that I do. And we were talking about the idea that, when we're children, we're a sponge and we're supposed to have good parents to take care of us. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's why the brain is the way that it is. And so we're supposed to be a sponge up until we're 25 or 30 years old. But
Hmm.
after that, we have choice and we get to think and decide and even change those things from the past, but we don't realize it because there is not a big status quo belief that we can or that we do. You don't know how many women in their 30s I've said, do you know you get to choose whether you're going to live from your past or not? Because your past is only alive when you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's consciously or consciously, but it's running you, right? And so it's kind of like we get to turn the corner, turn the page, and say, no, I'm not going to live my life by that condition anymore. Yeah, and when we get to some of the things that we cultivate self-love, those things do help in us knowing how to make changes in that arena.
Right. Now, talk to me about, or give me an example of how someone's self love changed their community, had a ripple effect out in their community.
Well, we can look at all of the good works that kind people have done all the time. I will tell you that I had a back problem, and I was going
Hmm.
to get surgery for that. And I walked into my where our doggy goes to doggy daycare, and I said to the lady, "We're really training her to stay off, so you're welcome to help control that when she's here." And I said, because I'm having surgery on my back. And she goes, oh, are you in pain? And I said, and she was always kind of a cranky person, right? And I said, yeah, but I just choose not to live by pain. And she goes, and it's like, think about it. I choose not to live by pain. Yes, I'm going to have pain, but I'm not going to let it run me. I'm going to make joy and decisions that help me be creative and all of this in life. That's just how I choose to live my life. And sure, I manage my pain or do whatever, right? She looked at me and said, oh my gosh, you just changed my life. That surgery was a year and a half ago. That woman has become the sweetest, nicest, caring, kind person since I said that to her. I choose to live my life by joy rather than pain. Now, that's just a tiny bit of the ripple, but think of how many people have thought, that woman used to be really cranky. They take their dogs in there to drop them off and everything. And now she is like sweet and kind and loving, right? And that changed the world, right? And so there is a concept called the butterfly effect. And the butterfly effect is actually, scientists looked at the idea. It was actually through meteorology, weather science, that somebody in South America was studying the effects of currents on weather, and they found that the flapping of a butterfly wing in South America affected the weather in England because of that ripple effect. Okay, and so they study waves now, and waves go out. This is part of the quantum physics, right? That they're seeing that waves go out and that affects other people. So if you put a word, and words are vibration, think of it.
Mhm.
They're words, they're vibration. You put out words into there, and even if somebody's not around you, it's going to grow and grow and grow and affect people out there. I had a teacher one time. I was a student teacher with children, middle schoolers with disabilities, and all of a sudden, one girl I had been working with for a while, she just disappeared one day, and they said, "Yeah, her foster family had to give her up." And I said, "But what am I going to do? I loved her. I was wanting to help her." He says, "You just have to know that all that you did is affecting her life, and she may not even know where it came from." We don't need to have credit for it. We don't need to know that we changed people's lives. But, in our world, one of the phrases that I hear a lot right now is our world is just so broken. Our world is just so disrupted. And if you think about you're thinking that, and that vibration's going out, and then combine it with other people that are saying that gets bigger and bigger, and that is the reason that we want to be really cautious about not only what we think, but what crosses our lips. Emerson said, stand guard at the portal of your mind. And I always say, and your lips.
Yeah. Yep. Boy, isn't that the truth? So
Yeah.
you've mentioned some of the challenges that people have that we face in attempting to practice self-love.
Hmm.
And how can we overcome those challenges? Some of it is in how we think, some of it is in asking the tough questions of where is this coming from? Do I want to do this? Because a lot of this is coming from our core beliefs,
Hmm.
what we
And
were trained as. So,
the,
thank
yeah,
you.
the good news is that we just have to practice it to get the sense of it, and then it becomes natural for us. So, for example, um, if we if we go back and look at, okay, so today's couple, in this conversation I was having with my husband, I've been, oh, I always have had, because we moved a lot as a child and everything, and so I've always had a little issue with belonging, and when I don't belong, I get my feelings hurt or various things like that. And he and I were talking about it. It's like, here I have been working on this years and years. It's again like the self-love we have, but it takes, for it, this is about changing habits, the habit of our thinking. Now, you've heard that it takes 21 days to change a habit. I say it takes 21 days to change a simple habit. And I have a program called 21 Days to Change Habits, but I say these are 21 tools to change habits. It takes, they found that it takes over 90 days of consistency. And if you break that consistency, you have to start over to really ingrain a new thought into your old habit, to let go of that old habit. So the first thing that we need to do is, so in the beginning, yes, we go back. So I have a sense uh, of being triggered, if you will, when I don't get
Mhm.
included, right? And
Mhm.
so then I have to stop, pause. And then I have to think, okay, what do I want to feel instead? What do I want to feel instead? Well, I want to feel included. Now, I can't necessarily put it on the specific situations, but I need to bring on that feeling. And sometimes I can do that by going, oh, when have I feel included? Where in my life now do I feel included? That was one little thing. So we bring it into proportion, right? And we see that was one little time when I didn't get included, and then I can look at how many times I've had limited number of people I could have invited to something and somebody's been excluded and things like that. So you start logic with logic and you look at those things. But the so you start there, but the key is to know what would you love to feel like and to put that on. If you want a relationship on it, don't lose weight. Don't wear makeup just to attract that person. No, those things should be done because you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Feel what it looks like, feels like to have somebody love you the way you want them to love you. Feel that. And I had actually in my group the other day that I looked at my clients and I said, you know what? You're only holding the love of your life away because you think you need to lose weight before you can have them in your life. They're already there. And you've got
Yeah.
this silly thought that you have to be skinny binny in order to be attractive to men, which is a total status quo belief, you know,
Yep.
and they're just waiting for you to get over that belief.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So it's pause and uh, do introspection and then repattern. And that repatterning is, how do I want to feel? So the word enthusiasm is from ethenos, which is God's joy in a sense, or the divine's joy, whatever your languaging is. Think of when you feel really enthusiastic about something. That is the attractive forces, not how you look, not, maybe what you say, but it's all got to come from that in theos. In theos. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So pause and
Thank you
repair.
for that.
Yeah. And then also it's have healthy boundaries. You still have to take care of yourself. And you get to go back to that same question. How do I want to feel? And you do have to take care of yourself, but you don't do it for anyone or anything outside of yourself. You do it for yourself. What
Yep.
what what do you have to live for? And we talked about vacations, and traveling, because I lead travel programs around the world. And it's like I want to be healthy. My clients, they want to go traveling too. We want to be healthy so that we can enjoy the beauty of life. And then there's mindfulness and self-compassion. And then there's and you've done this in my programs before, celebrate your achievements. I have my clients write an assets list, all of the things that you've
Mm.
achieved, so that when you get in that downer, right, you go, oh, let me pull out my list and see what I've done.
Yep.
And forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've done. And just remember that your thoughts, this is so much fun, are molecules that change your world.
I was
They are,
just going to ask you about molecules because you talked about quantum theory, and
uh-huh,
molecules are part of that.
mhm,
And we are made up of billions and billions of molecules.
right.
And everything that I think or everything that I do is going to affect those because we are one.
Yes. And so
So,
that vibration that goes out are molecules, and they help people rearrange their own molecules once it arrives in there. So it's like, why not be a force for good in the world? Okay, I wanted to just come back and say, once you learn how to go back to your past and see what it was, after a few times doing that, you get to bypass the going back, and you just get to say, I know that's something from my past, probably, but what I want to input here is the new pattern. And so you don't have to keep dredging up the past. Okay. You get to, once you practice it and you get it and you feel it, you just go, how do I want to feel right now? What do I love? What do I want to experience? That's who I'm going to be right now.
yeah. The metaphor that I like, and I was talking about it with someone the other day about the spiral staircase of life.
Hmm.
Because if I'm going up a spiral staircase and something happens, I can look down and go, oh, that's happened before. And this is what I've learned. And look at how far I've come. Let's continue on. It's not about starting over, it's about continuing on
Mm-hmm.
and noticing how far I've come and what do I want to do now?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And that's one of the things is people do not celebrate where they have come now.
Yeah.
And that's something, as you know, I constantly trick my clients and I say, okay, so what do you do now? Celebrate. Even, okay, so it's like when you notice that you're having a thought and you still do it anyway, you celebrate that you noticed it. And
Yes.
then that celebrating helps you go, oh, here it comes again. Nope, not going to let it get me.
Yeah. And, it's celebration. Yeah. And one of the things that I love about Christy is that she loves sparkle and adding sparkle to your life. Yeah, she has a lot of sparkle that she wears. And she loves to add sparkle to her life. She adds sparkle to the classes that she teaches. She talks about this as a way of sparkling in how we show up in the world. Kindness and compassion does add sparkle to me in my experience,
Mm-hmm.
and acceptance. Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
then forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiving others,
Yeah.
allowing them to be who they are and to react in the way that they need to react without judging them, without going, oh, they hate me, or I hate what they're doing, or whatever.
Yeah.
Hate is, I did hate in a light way, but hate is a
Yeah.
really strong word. And there's a lot of that energy out there.
Mhm.
And we want the energy of kindness and compassion and love out there
Yeah. Yes. And everything,
because we're all worth it. We're all worth it.
yeah. Even technology, huh?
Yeah. Even technology, we had some technology issues today to get on, and we finally did. And we were laughing about it, laughing on the phone. I had my VA and we were on the speakerphone, and the three of us were talking, trying to get Christy in. It was great fun. And we finally did because we were willing to just accept that this is what's happening. And we can get upset about it or we can have fun with it.
Yeah.
And we had fun with it.
Yeah.
At least I did.
Yeah. I'm always having fun when I'm around Brenda.
We do have fun.
Yeah.
Potential downsides or misunderstandings about this concept that you'd like to address? Because some
Well,
people can go, well, you can't be goody two shoes all the time.
I actually love that my clients call me Pollyanna.
Yeah.
And I think you can be positive and everything all the time. That's my goal. That's what I don't do it, but that is my goal and I aspire to it. And I think I do it more today. This is my goal more today than yesterday.
Yep.
But what we're up against here, so sometimes it's good to understand what we're up against here is status quo beliefs. These beliefs, and I actually am going very deep and looking at the origin stories of so many different cultures and then using the Adam and Eve story as an example and thinking, wow, what where did the shame come from? Where did this idea that I'm a sinner come from? And it's in every origin story. So I actually rewrote the origin story recently. And it's like, what if we were giving we're in a Garden of Eden. We have everything that we need. And what if we started creating with that? What if, I wrote it that Adam goes out fishing because he likes fishing and his kid goes out fishing with him. And everybody has this flow of abundance. And that's the truth of the divine. Remember, the divine is everywhere, everything always present. And that means in us. And when it doesn't show up even in the most evilest of people, it's because they have forgot who they are. So one of my jobs is I use the phrase bless your heart, and I use it in the kind and loving way because people have forgotten who they are. Bless their heart. And it's such an easy way to forgive people as we go out there. But the whole idea of if we notice what are the limiting beliefs, like that there is shame. The shame only comes from forgetting who we are. I am the divine in expression. Now, I'm not saying I'm the omnipotent. The omnipotence is within me. I am made out of that stuff, right? So if I don't act that way in the world, guess what? I'm dissing the divine, right?
That's an
Right.
interesting way to look at it. And
Yeah,
it's the truth.
it
And to
is.
me, yeah, when we're in shame, and I've said this many times, and I actually have written an article about it, and it's going to be in my next book, is shame means should have already mastered everything.
Yeah.
Those are the initials of shame. Should have already mastered everything. That's what we believe. That's what we were taught. And how many times do we say, oh, I should have known better? Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have, or if only this happens, then I can do this.
So
Christy brought that up earlier.
yeah,
If I lose the weight, then the guy will come.
yes. And so if you think about you're saying that, say that you had a visual image of the divine, right? And you said, who am I to think blah 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 blah? And they say, well, you're my beloved, and you're acting this way, you're doing this way. For me, it's one of the most important things to know that I am here to be the divine in expression and to express it in creativity, which creativity is putting things together in the way they've never been before. It's like that
Mm-hmm,
juicy expanse of energy, or being joyful or being fun, or and even the need for forgiveness comes out of
mm-hmm.
these um these past uh very long ingrained in every culture, practically every culture, that we somehow are flawed, that we
Yeah.
feel fundamentally flawed. I was talking with a girlfriend the other day, and she had gone to Tahiti, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we should work with this guy." The guide took him out fishing and to sailing and all this stuff, and said we should get with him and bring people here to him, and he could make lots of money and da da da. And they said this to this guy. He says, I don't need any more money. I have my family. I have my beautiful environment. I have da da da. I have everything I need. And we all have everything we need. We just have to let go those erroneous thoughts and beliefs
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and replace them with the divine thought.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the ways you can get a hold of Christy is on her website, and that's masteringtheartoflife.com. And she also has a free gift for you. Christy, would you tell them about that? And you can get it by taking a picture of the QR code up in the corner of my screen. Christy, would you like to tell them about that?
So it's actually sorry for popping out here. I'm grabbing my book. It's actually a 4-week program of the Beyond the Box, and you get a digital copy of the book as well. And it's on my website for $197, but I'm offering it to people that have been listening to Brenda and this wonderful work that she's doing for free. And so you can go and download 4 videos and the digital copy of my book Beyond the Box: Creative Thinking Expanded.
Thank you so much for doing that, Christy. Would you mind giving our audience 3 or 4 tools that they can take away from this show that they can implement when the TV goes off?
Yes, sure. So the thing that I mentioned was the basic premises. Start noticing your thinking. And one of the things that you can do to notice that is actually program it in your alarm on your phone, and you can have it come up and say, what am I thinking? And it doesn't matter if it catches you in a bad thinking or a good thought. It helps you strengthen the muscle of remembering your thoughts. So that's one thing that you can do. Then have a list of affirmations or your assets list that you can refer to in the spur of the moment. Now, what I didn't talk about here is that you can have your own little pity party, but I want you to put a stop and a beginning and an end and make it like maybe an hour, right? To have your pity party and then let it go and go on about your business. Another thing that my mentor told me is wait 3 days to be upset about something. Something happens, you lose your job, you some whatever. Wait 3 days, and that has been a proven experience that the good will come because you won't be worrying about it. So those are just some of the things, and I look forward to having you take a look at the free gift and go to my website. I do have places where you can sign up for 30-minute conversation with me or whatever you like. And it's sure been a pleasure to watch. I have to say, to watch my student blossom into this that she has become. So,
Thank you
and
so
you
much.
know what that does to my heart.
Yeah. Let me share a couple things that I do when I'm in a why me pity party or something like that. I'll catch myself all of a sudden, or if I catch myself thinking should, and I'm going, wait a minute, who's that? And do I want to sit there? And I ask those questions lightly because that's higher vibration energy. And then I go, oh, well, what do you want to do? Well, I happen to have red maracas, two of them in my house. And I will take my red maracas and I will dance around the house and shake the maracas. I don't need any music. I just need to move and to shake and to just let everything go because worry's going to go, shoulds are going to go. I also have rhythm sticks if I just want to hit the rhythm sticks because I'm feeling a little bit more tense. I can hit the rhythm sticks and that's okay. And just dance around the house, prance around the house. I have a drum and it has a beautiful turtle on it. I have another one that has a tree of life and I can go around and drum my little drum. So,
Nice.
those are some of the other ways that you can physically
Mm-hmm.
do things, and it gives you a chance to release, gives me a chance to release, and it also gives me a chance to pause. That's the pause that Christy talked about. And
Yes.
some of us need more than just a breath. And
Yes.
Christy said, take an hour. That's a pause. The pause can be this or it can be this. Or it can be the 3 days, like Mary Morrissey mentioned, like Chrissy mentioned. So there's so many things you can
Well,
do.
you don't want to
Figure
be
out
in the
what you do.
yeah, you don't want to be in a pity party for three days.
No, you
You
don't
just
want to
need
be
to
in a pity
trust.
party for three
Yeah,
days.
you
You
just
want to
trust for
notice,
3 days. Yes.
right? You want
Yeah.
to notice where you are and then don't react, don't make a change, don't go out and do something. Let things settle, be open to whatever's going to come for those 3 days and see what happens. Because the divine, I have found, has a better plan for me than I ever thought of.
Yes.
I mean, I never thought I was going to be a TV host at 75 years young. I mean, I
Right.
never even thought of that. I never thought I was going to be an author at 73. My
Uh-huh.
first book came out when I was 73, my second book when I was 74. It's an anthology. I'm still in it. There's only 7 authors, so I'm one of 7. And, I never thought I'd be writing books. And it's because I was willing to be open and be present for the divine. I was willing to
Willing. Yes.
listen.
And
And
you
it
have
takes
one
a
more
lot
coming.
of willingness. It takes a lot of willingness.
Yes. And you have one more coming out. I mean, you're working on another.
I'm working on a book, And I'm also working on a second Sacred Connection, which is the anthology.
Uh-huh.
And the article that I wrote for that is Should, If Only, and When, and
Nice.
how they block us from our divine connection or sacred connection.
Yes. Brenda,
Because
you
they
have
do.
an
And we
amazing,
talked a little bit about that today.
yeah, you have an amazing way with words. So, yes.
Thank you so much, Christy. I so appreciate you. And we're going to, is there any last little bit you'd like to say um, before I do a final goodbye?
Love yourself. You're definitely worth it.
Yes, we all are, no matter what.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Thank you.
Blessings for the rest of your day. And our goal today was to look at self love and how it changes us and how we can change the world when we're in self love. So let's take some closing heart breaths to some soft music in through the heart, in through the lungs. And as you're doing that, bring in whatever divine energy wants to come in right now. And as you breathe out, anything that you're willing to let go of today, in this moment. Doesn't mean you can't take it back. And as you're doing this breathing, love yourself today in some small. To love yourself today. There is no one right way to do it. There is your way, because we are all unique. You heard how I responded to things. You heard how Christy responded to things. There's no one right way. There's your way and your connection to the divine, whatever that looks like for you. So let's breathe in and breathe out and notice where you are today and how much self-love you have for you. And let your mantra be, I love myself today in a small way. Doesn't have to be big. Just by saying that and taking the time to breathe, you're loving yourself. That's how easy it is. And that's how difficult it is to remember to do that. Thank you so much for being here. Let's continue to breathe 3 or 4 more times before we go off into our day. Thank you so much, Christy, for being here. You have been a blessing to me and a blessing to our audience. Our show shows at 4 p.m. on Wednesdays, Pacific Time, on E360 TV. There's more details as we leave this show. Thank you and blessings to everyone. Be well.